Hey all, it's Jason from GameRave.com, otherwise known as Danger Boy, and this is GameRaveTV. So after realizing that I am running out of time as we head to the September 9th, 20th anniversary for the US PlayStation, I decided that with Letter Legacy, we are going to speed things up a bit so it's complete by the time we get to September. So the three letters we're dealing with today are U, V, and W. Now, U is easy. Aside from maybe Ultimate 8-Ball and UFC, the only real game you need to play out of U is Unjam or Lammy. Parappa the Rapper sequel, female lead, it's all good. Now, we're going to skip V for a second and jump to W. W actually has a surprising amount of great games once you push aside most of the wrestling stuff. Now, that's not to say there aren't good wrestling games in there. The SmackDown series was actually really well done, and it's one of the most, for lack of a term, beautiful games you can play on the PlayStation. Just well detailed, good articulation, good combat in the ring. It was really well done. Other runner-ups for W would include Warhawk, Wipeout, you've got Wild Arms 1 and 2 for the role-playing games. And while W was decently difficult to pick one, because Wild Arms is actually a really great RPG series, after discussing the letter W with some friends of mine at coffee, and you know who you are, it became clear that for the way the Letter Legacy works and how you have to have a PlayStation play the game to make this work, while Wild Arms technically could have won hands down, there is a more unique game that everyone should play at least once on the PlayStation, and that game is Wild 9. Wild 9 was by Shiny, the makers of Earthworm Jim and so forth, and it's really hard to try and convey just how goofy this game was at the time it came out in the late 90s. You basically are a character with the rig, and the rig is a bolt of light that you can grab onto bad guys and body slam them, push them through girders, raise them up to chop their heads off into blades. And even though that sounds disturbingly gross and mature rated, the game was more comical, and in fact it made you feel kind of evil as you're playing it. But definitely check out, you can actually find Wild 9 for like $3 or $4 online. Definitely worth the pickup. Alright, now, the letter V. The letter V, despite it being a very short list of games compared to other letters, there is so much good stuff in that letter, especially for a role-playing fan. As far as runners-up go, for role-playing games, there'd be Vanguard Bandits by Working Designs, really good turn-based strategy game. And then there's also Vanishing Point. It's a racing game that at the time was very cool because thanks to a little bit of a programming trick and the way they used curved roads, there was an actual vanishing point. There was no pop-up in the game like there usually was in early PlayStation racing games. The problem being is that vanishing point was extremely frickin' difficult due to the control scheme and the cars being a little bit too slippery. Now, as far as what we're going to pick for the winner, it came down to 3 titles, and dear God, this is one of the hardest decisions we've ever had to make on the Letter Legacy. The 3 finalists are Vagrant Story, Valkyrie Profile, and Vandal Hearts 1. Vandal Hearts 1 is a turn-based strategy game like Final Fantasy Tactics, and what made the game fun was 2 reasons. One, you actually had a search function where you could search the ground and find things, and if you searched the right spots throughout the entire game, you eventually would assemble armor for the main character Ash, and that would actually lead you to an extra hidden ending. Also, the game took a sort of like tee-hee approach to its combat system, and what I mean by that is when you killed the person, their death was just ridiculously off the chart. If you killed a human character, they would literally have a Samurai Showdown blood splurt just come screaming out of their chest. If you destroyed a skeleton, their bones just exploded. And it was, while it was cartoonish in its graphics, it was so satisfying to see that death animation sequence. Vagrant Story is one of Squaresoft's just most ridiculously well-done games on the PlayStation for RPGs. In fact, Vagrant Story is often gone to as the pinnacle of PlayStation graphics and gameplay and storyline, and to a degree, probably Square's last true high point before they had their rocky road through the PlayStation 2 and out into the PlayStation 3 and 4. I actually have never had a chance to play it, but I know for certain from enough people and friends and other gamers that it's a phenomenal game. The game I have played a ton of, though, is Valkyrie Profile. Valkyrie Profile was actually from Enix, before Square and Enix got together. And imagine if you took really cool anime characters an amazing combat system and slapped it into a Castlevania Symphony of the Night-like world. Essentially, you played the Valkyrie, and you had to gather characters, dead characters, and their souls, and prep them for battle in Valhalla. And what made the game just stick, and to this day I will defend it against anyone, is that its combat system was just so amazingly unique. Basically, each character was one of the 4 thumb buttons. So, like, Valkyrie was X, this character was circle, this character was triangle, etc. And instead of going through a menu-based or an action-based, each character acted as if they were part of a combo. So if you pressed X for Valkyrie and she ran and started to slash them, if you pressed circle for the swordsman, he would come into his axe. If you timed it just right, they would perform an almost Street Fighter versus X-Men juggle type system. If you got the juggle going, someone else could come in and continue the fight, and you would just keep building up this crazy damage rating with the combo system. When you first tried it, it was like, okay, I'm trying to get to it. I get it. It works fine. After about 4 hours of gameplay, you are just rocking this combat system. And to this day, I have never, ever loved any other combat system other than Valkyrie Profiles. Like, it worked so well. And I still have to go back and finish the PS2 version of the game. So, it comes down to Valkyrie Profile, Vandal Hearts, and Vagrant Story. How in the hell do we pick this V game? Well, I have to go from the heart. As much as I love the other games, I'm definitely going to go with Vagrant Story, duh, Vandal Hearts. I was going to say Valkyrie Profile. Vandal Heart, you idiot! Vagrant Story, Valkyrie Profile! Vagrant Story!